On a cold, damp Sunday in January, about 50 Rhode Islanders came to Wickford to show their opposition to the war in Iraq and to support the Progressive Democrats of America's planned accountability march in Washington, D.C. on Saturday, January 27th. After several inspired speakers, we talked to some of the demonstrators and taped the ABC6 photographers' interviews.
Protest the war in Iraq. And I'm a Navy veteran, and this is definitely not what our armed forces are for, to be in the middle of a civil war over in Iraq. And I oppose President Bush's increasing the amount of troops going over there now. So I'm very glad to be here today.
When did you start to think that this war may not be the right, maybe a civil war?
Well, quite a while ago. I think it was a civil war when the Iraqi people started fighting amongst themselves. And I think right in the first place we should have concentrated on Afghanistan, where Al-Qaeda was, instead of going into Iraq. I think that was a bad move right off the start.
And when you went to vote this last election and in the coming elections, will that be something on your mind in terms of future foreign policy?
Well, definitely. I had to vote. I respect Mr. Chafee, but I had to vote against him this time because we needed change in Washington. And I think that's what a lot of people do.
Rhode Island Progressive Democrats of America.
So tell me what's going on here.
What we did today, we were trying to raise awareness for the massive demonstration in Washington, D.C. on the 27th of January. We're also trying to raise funds because we're putting buses together for people who can't afford the money to ride or want to go. We're asking people to contribute money who can't go but have money. We're trying to get as many people from Rhode Island to show up in Washington, D.C. on the 27th as we can. Then on the Monday, we're going to our congressmen and have them tell us why they're not going to do anything. The goal is to bring the troops home.
Right, and how is your group trying to do that?
By appealing to the people directly. A la the great Martin Luther King, we're asking the people to end the war. So we know the president's not going to end the war. We know Congress is not going to end the war. We know the Supreme Court's not going to end the war. At the end of the day, this war will end when the United States of America, the people, we the people, say the war is over. Bring the boys home. So we're appealing directly to the most important branch of government, which is we the people.
On November 7th, the American people sent a strong message to the government, to Bush, and also to the Democratic Party that we're tired of what we see. We're tired of the events that's going on, and the American people have sent a strong message and a loud message that we the people are tired of the bull, that we the people are tired of the Congress, tired of the Senate, and particularly tired of Bush and his corrupt administration for what they've been doing with the Iraq war and the amount of money that we're spending. It's time to end this war, it's time to bring our troops home, and it's time to put our country back together.
And despite that, they're about to send more troops home.
Right, exactly. And that's something that we have to really get our elected officials to stand up and say no. Adding more troops to Iraq is not the solution. The solution to Iraq's problems is a political solution. They have to get involved with their neighbors. They have to demand that they sit down and they discuss what their problems are. The war and the factions in Iraq have been going on for years and years, since before Christ's time. And we're not going to stop this by military action. It's a political solution that needs to be done. And the only way that that can be accomplished is by the Iraqi people taking charge of it themselves and demanding that they take control of their country. By us adding more troops into Iraq is only going to be throwing gasoline on a fire that's already there. I kind of analyze it like this. If there's a conflict in a family and you call the police to come in for a domestic violence issue, once the police officer shows up, what happens? Both parties attack the police officer. Well, that's exactly the same thing that's going to happen in Iraq when we send more troops. Once the troops get there, these factions are going to unite, and they're going to be fighting the Americans. So all we're going to do is add more turmoil to a situation. We're not going to bring stability. We're going to cause things to further escalate out of control and increase the civil war that's already going on. The only way that we can help the Iraqi people is by pulling out the troops, demand that they stand up and take accountability for their own country, that their future is in their hands. They have a constitution, and it's time that they look at the constitution and demand that they can control their own country. So by adding more troops there is not the answer. I used to be the West Greenwich fire chief. I got injured on a house fire 2 years ago, December 1st. And as a result of that, I wound up with a spinal cord injury. And since then, because I was not mobile, I couldn't get around, I can't work, I got involved with online, with politics, activism. And that's what directly got me involved with the PDA and to really put an end to the war.
So what do you hope happens?
I hope that the people will listen to the peace activists and the peace witnesses, because this is a way of reaching out to the whole world. We cannot dominate the world with military, with economics. We have everybody here from all over the world. We have good reason to honor everybody. Muslims, all of the tribes in Asia, and all the tribes in South America. We are very fortunate to have a Bill of Rights out of the revolution, and we have kind of softened ourselves to it and taken it for granted. But we're the only one that really can advertise our Bill of Rights. Every country in the world would like to have a Bill of Rights, but we have to get it from people. People have the power to provide the Bill of Rights and have government governed by our consent. This is in our Constitution, and we have to have equality, the spirit of equality, not this elitism, this drive for greed. They're like gypsy moths, gypsy moths eat all the oak leaves until they're all gone. And then they drop and splatter on the floor. They strive to eat up all the land and all the power of money. This is a very cruel, cruel fate for ordinary people. We have to have the spirit of equality and share.
Well, I'm just disgusted with this war. I'm disgusted with American foreign policy. And as a matter of fact, I've been involved for 54 years now in trying to get the United States to adopt a humane policy, which for some reason we are unable to do. But this war is outrageous. I mean, we were led into it totally with lies. We were led to believe that Iraq attacked us on September 11th, which it did not. We were told Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which it did not. And now we're there just because we're there, and we got to stay there because we're committed. It's horrible.
When you're right, we will no time for sleeping.
Bring all the coalitions together for about 4 years now. The message is bring the troops home now. Do not deploy more troops and the war, and try to bring some kind of political resolution to Iraq rather than more military.
Open